I was
Yep.
I was started.
Yes.
Hello, sorry. As always, I struggle with starting live streams. So if you're on Spotify, don't worry, we've not got no audio this week. I'm just an idiot. But speaking of idiots, Hibs are not this week. We won a game of football. Craig, you were there. How are we feeling?
Relieved. That was my overriding emotion after that game, and probably still is, to be fair. It was just seeing that third goal went in, just the absolute overriding relief was class. So yeah, feeling good.
And yeah, I think relief's probably the perfect word to describe it, Ewan, to be honest. I, it
Yeah,
was one of those like I don't know if it sounds stupid, but see recently when we've scored first goals in games, I've kind of just been like, way. But when the second one went in, I was like, oh, we might be
yeah.
onto something here.
No, I think absolutely. I think when the second goal went in, you certainly let. You're obviously you're delighted, but there was a element of like relief. I just said to you guys that it felt like the game probably. I think at that point in time in the game we were worthy of being a couple goals ahead, and had we been a bit sharper, we would have been. So it made it a fairer reflection, I think, on the first half being 2-0 up at that point.
I think it's fair to say that we've won for the first time in 2 months,
Mhm.
so we're going to milk it, and we're just going to be as positive as possible. I know that the club's still got a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people we pointed fingers at that the fingers haven't left, but I think whilst we can enjoy it, we should enjoy it. Um, so Craig, talk to me. Team lineup came out. What was the initial reaction for you?
I was fairly pleased. I don't think you really have to change a team that played sort of as well as it did on Tuesday night against Aberdeen. Uh, you don't have to change it too much for the Saturday. So no, I was quite pleased.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I sort of when we were talking about Harry before the game, I know yourself and Liam's teams got shared, I think, on Twitter and stuff before the game, and I'd sent you mine, and I had one change, albeit it wasn't. I think I changed the goalkeeper as opposed to Miller for Cadden, but when the team came out, I was pretty happy with it. On Tuesday night, I'd said before the game that it looked like it was going to be a free at the back, and I would have preferred to see Cadden over Miller, so I was happy with that. Obviously, Smith had his struggles on the Tuesday night, but I really didn't have any issue. I don't think with Gray sticking with him. I think when we spoke about the potential of changing a goalkeeper, maybe when it was just myself and Craig that were on maybe a month or so ago, and we are talking about how sort of big a decision it is to change a goalkeeper and to drop him, and if Gray made the decision before the Aberdeen game that he was making that change sort of permanently, opposed to just taking Bursick out of the firing line, then it's definitely the right decision to then stick with him. Do you know what I mean? So I was fairly happy that he didn't change it, albeit I kind of thought he might have. But other than that, I think the team picked itself. You've got to try and take the little bit of momentum that you had on the Tuesday night, and if you go and change three, four, five players, then you're kind of saying that still wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to let them out. Like what we said that was against Rangers when he then didn't make a change for the next home game. It was like, well, they kind of earned that chance to on the back of the last performance, and they proved them right on Saturday, thankfully.
There you go, Craig.
Just I was no, I was just going to say, just something I thought was quite interesting at the game. Obviously, you guys wouldn't have been able to see it from mainland Europe, but it was quite a sort of interesting and different wee drill that they were doing in the warm up. So they had uh, a back four in the warm up with two midfielders, and they were just doing a wee drill where they were just knocking it back, like knocking it into midfield, and the And midfielder
Yeah.
was that Easter Road a spinning,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
out. But I thought it was quite interesting. It was like a conscious choice. You could see it was definitely, it was like a back four. It wasn't a back three. So I'm guessing that was maybe that they were thinking, oh, when we've got possession, it's going to be a four where with the two midfielders, Chantis and Newell, they were the ones sort of on the double pivot essentially.
Yeah.
Uh, so
They
no, I
did. They
just
were
thought that was
definitely
quite
doing that at
interesting.
Easter Road. There was a game that I was in quite early for not that long ago. It might even been the St Mirren game, and they were doing that same routine before the game, and it was quite obvious that when people are talking about style of play and stuff, you can see what the intention was. It was to try and get into the midfield or pop it back to the other centre half of the fullback, then switch the play. You could see that that's obviously the pattern of
Yeah.
play that they were trying to work on, and obviously on the day, absolutely nothing came of it. And since then, we have changed shape. That over the last two games is certainly worked. A change of shape that I mean, I said in the summer that I felt like that was the way the team were shaping up to play. In the very first game against Elgin, we had a back three out, and we've not really seen it since until the Aberdeen game. So it was good to see, and I still think it gets the best out of the players that we have available.
That was our first away win since that game. So maybe if we just keep doing that when we're away from home, we'll keep winning games.
Did you hear the stat? That's only the second game we've won away from home in the league in this calendar year.
Aye.
How
Um,
depressing is that?
it's a bit less than ideal. Um, but yeah, no. We got a couple of tweets in on the old Twitter. Tony Swanson said, "Great result on Saturday in some game against Aberdeen. Team seemed to be clicking for the boss. Keep it going, boys. Prefer the three backs gives us more attacking options and a variable midfield. Smith did a good job. Some hope there. So kind of breaking that down because I think he summarised it quite well. I think there was." When you score a last minute goal and you get yourself a point when your kind of backs against the wall like Hibs have been of late, I think it's a massive moment. I think at the end of the game, obviously, we were a bit frustrated to have not won against Aberdeen. I think it's fair to say. I think across the 90 minutes, we were the better team. They definitely had the better of large parts of the second half, but I think we deserved to be ahead. And by the time they were in the lead, it was probably about even.
See what you think,
Um,
Harry. You told Michael Stewart we played them off the park.
Hibs had just won a game for the first time in 2 months. I would have told it we played Barcelona off the park. We got beat 6-0 in a friendly. But yeah, no, for me, I actually think that goal from Rocky was a massive turning point. I know it sounds daft, but if we didn't score that goal at the end, I think it would have been very different. And something that I noticed, I think the players were very intentional with how much they were supporting each other. I don't know if it's something that you guys picked up on, but every time there was a sub, there was like three or four players going over and like giving them like a high five, getting them on the pitch and stuff. It just seemed like the team had a real cohesion and togetherness that I wasn't looking for it, but as soon as I spotted it
Yeah,
once, it's something that seemed to keep happening and happening. And then obviously, like after the game, the players coming over to the fans was a really nice moment as well. Like it does seem like this is a team that wants to turn it around. That's the first time that I felt that we had a bit of that like we're bottom of the league. We've got a bit of urgency about us that I feel like
yeah.
we've been missing the last 4 or 5 games. Um, but yeah, and then talking about it, something that I've seen on Twitter a few times as well. It's a good point. Iredale's Iredale's not shit. Iredale's pretty good, and it's been a bit of a revelation, Ewan, since he's come in.
No, he has. He's been decent. He has been decent. He did. He got caught out for Aberdeen's second goal when
Yeah.
when Morris first came on, but I think that you can kind of it's that quick after the sub. You know, like it is almost instant. But no, in general, I think he's performed really well in the two games. Sort of just goes back to what I said there about the squad. It makes sense to me for the squad to the players we've got. I don't think we've got outstanding fullbacks, but you've got players that can comfortably play wing back. You've got centre backs there that can play it either side. You've got Rocky that is probably limited on the ball to be it, but he can sort of that can sort of be hidden a little bit in the middle of a free, and you can sort of just let him, be aggressive and attack the ball, and do the sort of more meat and potatoes, and then play it off. So, but no, Jet Iredale's been really good. Hadn't really seen anything of him before this. I think he'd only made two sub appearances, both against Dundee United. But looks promising enough. Hopefully it carries on, and yeah, just continues to do well. Yeah, that's the hope.
And Craig, do you think Abita gets back in the team?
Uh, Not at the moment, really. Why? I don't think you need to, like I said before, you need to change, well, a one winning team, but a team that certainly that's been playing much better in the last couple of games. Uh, so no, I wouldn't say there's any reason to force him back in. I don't think he's been so exceptional this season. He's been okay recently when he's been in, but I think he's been so exceptional that he'd be forced back into the team as a first name on the team
Yeah.
sheet type guy.
He ultimately dropped himself at it with his tackle at Dens, and the team since then have performed well in the last two games. So I think it would be a big mistake to bring him straight back in.
I'm always a fan of like kind of earning your keep in a team. Like I think if you've played well, you deserve to play, and if you've played poorly or make stupid decisions consecutively, then you probably deserve to be dropped, which is the
Yep.
case for Jordan. Um, but yeah, one thing, Craig, it was just so comfortable. Like, do you think it's a change of shape? Do you think it's something that Gray's focused on? But bar them hitting the post, I didn't think at all that they like. Even when it came to set pieces, I didn't really feel that threatened. Like Lewis Young on YouTube's just commented saying, "I think we were very good, but Motherwell were very poor." Do you think it's something to do with that, or do you think we just completely nullified them?
No, I would agree completely. I would agree. I thought Motherwell were really poor actually. I was pleasantly surprised, I suppose I would say from our point of view, at how poor they were. I listened to their manager speaking after the game, and it does sound like it's been a wee bit of an off day, so to speak, for them. Like I don't think they're maybe quite as poor as that every game. So a wee bit of luck from our point of view, but at the same time, I thought our players looked right up for it. To be fair, the last couple of games I have Dundee away, although it was only 10 minutes, they came out firing and we looked good in that first 10 minutes. Obviously, everyone knows what happens thereafter. Uh, and against Aberdeen, came out, looked up for it. There just seems to be a wee bit of a mood change in our team. And I'm not talking just uh, after the last minute goal against Aberdeen, just more in general. Like there seems to be a wee bit more spirit, a wee bit more like fight. It's like they've finally realised, right, we need to roll our sleeves up here and get on with it. I'm seeing a few smiles back on people's faces, Yuan in particular. That's really delighted me the last couple of games. See, even just the difference in his body language. Like I don't know if somebody said something to him or he's just sort of made a decision on something, but he just looks happier.
Mhm.
He does look happier.
No, he's playing as well. This is probably the first time that he's had that.
Consistent sort of game time, I suppose. Yep. And I think maybe even a lot of the stuff that was happening in the media with Marv Bartley, and he's maybe just decided, do you know what? I'm gonna stick my chest out here and fight back instead of just
Mhm.
curling away and giving up really. So fair play to him. I'm loving it right now with him.
Yeah, I think Harry, like, with saying that Motherwell were poor, and obviously, I'm not being funny, being beat 3-0 at home, obviously, man, just going to come out and say they were shite. You know what I mean? Like, it's for me, we've seen it in the past where, like, when things are going poorly and then you see your team play average, you think it's really bad. And then, like, but on this other hand, I think there's probably a bit inside people that are not wanting to get too carried away still on the back of the two performances because it's of what we've seen before. Like we came away from the game on Tuesday and it was, oh, Aberdeen are shocking. Or we were good in the first half, but Aberdeen were horrendous. But Aberdeen are sitting second in the league. Motherwell are sitting in the top six. Like we're playing against teams that in the last two games that whether you like it or not are good at this level. They're not this is the level of opposition. So if Hibs continue to perform at the levels that we have in the last two, we'll be absolutely fine and we will start to climb the table. The question is if we can do that on a consistent week to week basis, like because Hibs were very good at the weekend and total control of the game. Yeah, it might be down to the change of shape, but we scored goals when we were on top in the game. We didn't leave it at 1-0, through to into the second half. We scored when we were on top. We got the second goal before half time. And going back to Tuesday, we had a chance just before half time after the potential penalty. I think Kukurevich put his header just wide. Like, I think had we went 2-0 in, 2-0 up at half time on Tuesday night, the game probably would have played out much the same as it did at the weekend. But obviously, and then obviously Newell hit the post right after half time as well. Like, I think if even that it stayed at 1-0, Aberdeen are still in the game. We start to retreat a little bit. Do you know, like so much of the game was just coming down to taking chances when you're on top, and we haven't done that this season. I don't for so many games this year. We haven't been. Some of them we have been really, really poor, but a lot of them we've not been awful. We've not been bad. There's not been much in the game, but we've not taken chances when we've had them, and we have been punished for individual errors, both of which, especially the weekend, were we done the opposite. There was no individual mistakes, and we took the chances to kill the game. Even to get the third goal with sort of 10 minutes to go. Even if it was 2-0, Motherwell might nick something and get a goal, but we just total control at the weekend. Really good to see. Really comfortable. Good win against a decent Scottish Premiership side, and
This
that's what it was.
this is almost going to sound like a call out, but like I think a few of the players that have been calling out for really poor performances of late, I think just put in decent shifts. Like Triantis, that was a very good game. It's definitely his best game since his second time. Was it the St Johnstone game? I think he was really good and he was good against Kilmarnock and he's been pretty disappointing since. And I thought John Newell had his best game in about 5 or 6 games, and it's the type of performance that you need from the captain. You need him to lead by example. I felt he put a few good, like tough challenges in that I think like this squad always seems to feed off energy. Like even dating back to last year, I think if you can get someone that actually gets stuck in and gets everybody else G'd up. I just think it's a massive help to the team, and I think Joe Neal does need to be that leader that actually gets stuck in. I don't think he does it anywhere near enough, but hopefully, two good
I
performances
was
back
wondering
to
when it was
back.
coming.
No, but hopefully two good performances back to back can spur him on to another like streak. I'm not expecting him to be perfect 38 games in a season, but 30 games in a season, if he's our captain, I want him to be the example for the rest of the midfield to follow. And I think he was at the weekend. I think he was one half against Aberdeen, I think he was as well. But yeah, and then also talking about redemption, Josh Campbell got himself a cheeky wee goal in the second half. That was, you know what I love shit goals when Hibs score shit goals. We lumped the ball up the pitch. It was
Hey,
knocked in. No, it was a good goal. But I'm talking about like if you take away the bare bones, if you just break it down very simply, hoof up the pitch, head down, volley, goal. Like the actual technique
It was
behind
well
it, yeah,
executed.
very very good. But it's just
Simple, mate.
yeah,
Simple.
that's one of these
brilliant.
goals from a Motherwell perspective. It's absolutely horrific. It's such bad defending from Motherwell. Like they will be absolutely fuming with themselves conceding that. I mean, I think there's a ball bounced twice, and
Yeah.
then
Gale wouldn't see that.
in the big centre half, Gordon gets out muscled by Dwight Gale. Like that'll be bitterly disappointing from them. But from our point of view, it's brilliant strength for Gale. It's ultimately like, see, in Scotland, I remember saying it before we played Kilmarnock. If you mind when Newell scored that screamer,
Hmm.
and we were in a bit of a rut at that point, and I remember saying it's sometimes Scottish football in general, is so simple. Like you just put the ball in areas that it's got the potential to hurt teams, and we didn't last season do that enough, and probably haven't been doing it enough this season. Just put the ball in an area where it might have a chance of causing a bit of trouble, and ultimately it's a hoof over the top, but it's a hoof over the top that causes a bit of panic and causes a wee bit of trouble
Get
in their
defenders to
defence.
turn now.
Yeah,
It's
turn a defender, get them running back towards their own goal with a striker on their shoulder, and they don't like it. Dwight Gale does brilliantly. Obviously, Josh Campbell. I mean, that is Josh Campbell in a nutshell. Late run into the box, supporting the strikers.
yep.
That for me, if he's playing, that's his job. Is
A great finish.
to be busy. And then, like you say, yeah, just it's a great finish. So,
It's
yeah,
an awkward
from our
finish.
point
Like
of view,
it's
good goal.
actually like it bounces up and no really good finish, controlled finish. Yeah, and just it lets you just see the game through. Totally like not that the game wasn't comfortable entirely, but like I'd obviously messaged you boys. So we started the second half really strongly, and I felt like we probably should have got a third goal at that point, and for a little bit of luck we maybe did, and it just felt like we started to retreat a wee bit, and I was like, oh, this is a bit minging, but to like just because you're defending doesn't mean you're not in control of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt like we were defending and we were behind the ball and we were comfortable in doing that, knowing that there was still going to be opportunities there for us. And it's like Harry's favourite sentence this season's been we were only good because they let us have the ball. Well, in the second half, I felt like we kind of let Motherwell have the ball, and we were like, right, we're just going to stay in our shape, and when we get it, we're going to counter, and the chances will be there for us. And that's sort of what the third goal is. I know you'd sort of, it was just a long ball at the park, but it is, it's a quick attack, and it's actually obviously like twice in 2 games that we've scored from a more direct route, but both goals, there's actually a lot of quality in them. Like that, the equalising goal against Aberdeen is actually very well worked. I know, like, it's a lump out of the park, but Campbell wins a great header. Rocky does really well initially. Good ball for you, and good header for Gale, and Rocky tackles it into the back of the net. Like, but there's been real moments of quality in the last 2 games that I don't think it's wrong to feel a lot more positive about. And we just need to see it on a much more consistent basis. And there's a run of fixtures coming up that are difficult, but after Celtic, certainly, there's games you can get points from there. You do, on paper, they're hard games, but you're actually playing bottom six sides out with Celtic sort of between now and the end of the year. So we need to just channel this and put a performance in on Saturday that you come out of, similar maybe to Ibrox this season, where you come away from it going, that was okay. Do you know, like whether it's probably too early to be thinking about going to Celtic Park and getting anything, but come out of it still feeling all right and ready to go again at home at Ross County the following weekend.
I think that's a really good point, Craig. Like, how important is it to not go and get thumped 6-0 with 4 individual errors that make the fan base rip their hair out? We've done a few times before at Celtic Park in similar situations.
Yeah, it's actually such a shame that the next game after winning your first game in what was it 12 or something uh is away at Celtic Park. Like it's no ideal really, is it at all? Uh, I think I'll be honest. I think it'll be difficult not to get thumped. That's my complete honest view on it. I think it will be difficult, and I think we'll be under the cosh for the entire game. Uh, so not it's so defeatist that I know it is, and I don't like being like that. But if we can just, like you guys say, if we can just get out without getting embarrassed, like I'd be well satisfied with that. And then move on to the next games and try and keep a wee bit of the momentum behind us, a wee bit of that sort of confidence,
Mm.
uh, and hopefully going into the next, obviously, I think it's Ross County, and then do we maybe play Aberdeen away after that,
Yeah,
and then
Aberdeen.
the derby. So look, you look at it as definitely a couple of really difficult games away to Tawdry and at Tynecastle, but it's an opportunity there also to get a couple of big wins. If
Hmm.
you won either of those, it'd be brilliant for momentum. Or even avoid losing one of them, win one of them. Like there is a real opportunity there for momentum going in towards the end of the year where you do have still difficult games, but much more winnable games, and Kilmarnock, Easter Road, and then St Johnstone away. So although it's a difficult run of fixtures, there's opportunities there to build momentum. So
I think we are probably well aware now that we identified the running fixtures there that actually just culminated prior to the Aberdeen game that were like, or sorry, they've just in fact, we probably included Aberdeen and Motherwell that are culminating now. When we were saying was it 8 games or something without playing the Old Firm, and you had Hearts at home and that, and you sort of identified that and said we'll have a much better idea of what this side's going to be this year, and ultimately we've not taken the points out of them. So it really is just a case of just trying to go game to game at this stage and just trying to keep building. And if we can come out of the next game with a similar positive feeling on to the next one, and just it is just a case of building it from there. The season's been an incredibly disappointing, slow start and frustrating season, and I don't think any of that should be forgotten. And I don't think the last two performances have covered up any sort of deficiencies in the squad. I think the areas of weakness are still absolutely there. But one thing for me, and it's so clear that the players are still, quote, playing for the manager. Do you know, that's like when you see things like last minute equalisers or two last minute equalisers in a commanding performance like that, that's, in my opinion, a sign that they still have trust in the person that's guiding them. I still don't think the majority of them are good enough for where we want to be, and I still think it will be a long, hard season. But if they can continue to improve like they have this week, then maybe it won't be. That's
it's a bit of
ultimately
fight
the
though,
hope.
isn't it, Ewan?
Yeah.
That's ultimately what we've been looking for, just a bit of fight, a bit of grit. Even though against Aberdeen we conceded 3 goals, there was a spell in the second half where we were under a bit of pressure and there was a few big tackles going in. I mind Lewis Miller on the east hand side like sliding in and putting a
Hmm.
big tackle in, and it's the first time this season where I've looked at them like at our defence and thought like they want it, like they're
Yeah.
up for it here. They're trying not to concede here. And ultimately, to be fair to them, I don't think they really would have gave that great chances away had the goal and not chucked the ball in the
Well,
back
oh,
to the
that's
net a
it.
couple
Yeah.
of times.
I think I know it sounds so silly in a game that you conceded 3 goals. I actually thought we defended pretty well against Aberdeen, like a team that had a lot of momentum behind them, and I think it tells you a lot when their strikers getting taken off at half time in terms of what you've given them in the first half. They didn't have a kick, and in the second half, yeah, look, they had a lot more of the ball, but I don't remember going, we got away with one there. Do you know, like if I thought we defended pretty well against Aberdeen, and then obviously Motherwell didn't really have a kick until the last, was it just before injury time, that post, and
Even that came from an error though as well. Triantis picked the ball and dallied on it a wee bit, and then obviously they pinball it
same.
right to having a chance.
Even that could be massive. Like the whole performance was great, but that hitting the post and coming out opposed to hitting the post and going in, you get the confidence of having a clean sheet. The goalkeeper didn't have much to do, but what he done, I think he done pretty well. So hopefully that'll ease a little bit of nerves. And again, go to Celtic Park and just look, if you can see the goal, just didn't make it, didn't make chuck it in the net yourself. Do you know, like that's it. Like I know it's
so defeatist, but just make sure we're sitting here next Monday going, okay, that was fine. Let's build on what we've done before this and go. Because look, Celtic just scored 5 goals in one half of football. You know what I mean? Like if they made 5 changes and scored 5 or 6 changes and scored 5 goals in 45 minutes, with a few more sort of sitters missed plenty of chance in the second half. So it's no great surprise, Harry, to think that it's a bit of a stretch for us to go to Celtic Park and get something, but you can still perform. Do you know? But I think we'd actually done okay there in the League Cup after the first 2 minutes. So like
After the game was
Sounds like
already
what you were
lost.
talking about.
No. Yeah, well, we'll come on to Celtic a bit more at the end when we kind of talk about the team setup and predictions and stuff. A couple of comments have come in. Siebel's watching. Hello, Siebel. Hope you're doing well. What a gentleman. Ewan's also said evening, gents. So hello to you, Ewan, even though you're on pod. Mike said evening, gentlemen. Just joined, but how refreshing is it to be talking about a win on a Monday podcast? Yes. Also loved Harry's wee dig on the radio. How was the train back to London, by the way? The train back to London, absolutely no comment. It was honestly like I was never even on the train, Mikey. That's how that was. But guys, I was looking forward to the podcast today. Like I don't dread the
Aye.
podcast, but sometimes I'm like, Hibs have lost. We're gonna have to get on the pod and chat about Hibs being shite for an hour. Like I know the listeners as well are like, we're getting sick of hearing about how shite Hibs. So it's just nice to be here to have people in the comments being like, Hibs aren't shite this week. It's just nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been a nice. And you boys touched on it last Monday, like the sort of feeling that you have in your day to day life when your football team's not performing the way that it should be, and you're uncomfortable with the sort of goings on off the park as well. Which I mean that hasn't changed, but it's a lot easier to stomach the other aspects of the club if the on the pitch stuff is at least performing, and like because this is a thing, and I've maybe I was going to say out the four of us, but certainly out of myself and you, Harry, I've made it clear that I'll back David Gray to the hill. I won't ask for him to be sacked even when the stuff was going out. All I said was sort of it'd be hard to argue his case. So that just knowing that like we've got him in charge and we've had a nice few days, it does feel good. So like it does feel good, and there is still a catalogue of issues going on that shouldn't be overlooked. And I think the general opinion or the general vibe on Saturday was that everyone was still very much aware of that, and nothing should overshadow that. But it's such a nice feeling to win. Do you know, like Saturday night was just like, oh, breathe.
To
Just
watch Sports
breathe.
Scene on Saturday,
I know,
I was
mate.
fucking buzzing. I could not wait for it. I was dancing to the theme tune and everything. It was class. I've not watched Sports Scene. I actually don't think I've watched it this season.
I'm much the same, mate.
Months and months and months and months since I've watched it, and I finally got to watch it and enjoy it, and I could not wait for it. So that was the best part about my day.
Screw Hibs winning. It was a sports scene at night with the boys
It was
reviewing it
class.
afterwards. That's what it's all about. Rainy Cool is in the comment section. He said, Harry, did you want to thump Mikey Stewart on Saturday night? I actually think, being honest, Ramy, I think Mikey Stewart wanted to thump me based off the tone of his voice.
I think you took it slightly too. So when you came on, I was buzzing, right?
Aye.
And I was listening. And I was like, right, okay.
Aye.
And then you opened your mouth, and I was like, oh, Harry.
Mate, how can I not be? We just won a football game. That was all
No.
about it.
Do you know what? I think in this day and age, the debate is sort of lost, isn't it? I think everyone just trying to make people come and just shouting at each other, telling you right. I think you both had a good point. I think that you were coming at it from we played well against Aberdeen. We've won a game of football, and we did start well at Dens, albeit it was a incredibly small sample size in the 90 minutes. But also what Michael Stewart and Tom English were saying isn't wrong. Like that, it's not incorrect either. But I would probably give you the win on points, I think.
Nah, I'm not giving it. I think he got done like.
No, because if you're listening to the radio, unlike Craig, who just wanted me to lose,
I'm a home ref,
Tom,
Craig.
Tom English, for those who haven't heard this, I got asked to go on Sportssound after the football, and Tom English said, when Hibs have cut out the mistakes, they've won a game comfortably 3-0. So I was like, I think you're spot on, and I think this has been brewing, meaning I'd said 3 or 4 games. I should have said 3 games because St Mirren, although we did have the like 4 minute flurry at the end where we almost rescued a point from nothing, but Dundee, as we said, I think we came out the gates really strong. I said we were all over Aberdeen. I think on the basis of the game, if you took that as two neutral teams and put them against each other without knowing Aberdeen are second, without knowing Hibs were bottom, you would say that Hibs were the much better team. The reason that it's skewed is because Aberdeen keep doing the same thing to everybody. Aberdeen were really, really bad against Hibs, and they had as
There
soon
we
as that.
go. We're back to saying everyone else is
No,
shite.
no,
The Hibs
but
are good.
as soon as Morris came on the pitch, they had that
Oh, you're right.
like
Yeah, right.
15, 20
He's
minute
a
period
handy
in which they
player.
were much better than us. I think we outplayed Aberdeen, and I don't think that's a ridiculous statement. Given the context of positions, I think it's fair to say it's a stupid statement, but it's just adding false narratives. And then Motherwell, that's the easiest win I've ever seen Hibs have in my life. Like, we literally weren't
And we're
troubled.
back to over exaggerating.
No,
Harry,
but
I've
see,
seen.
honestly, name a game in which a team hasn't had a shot on goal. They had one shot that hit the post. Like the keeper
Forgive me, but
literally didn't have a save to make.
I might
I
be wrong,
did.
Harry, but I've seen Hibs beat Livy 7-0, so I'm pretty sure we've had to come fair.
No, but that's just nonsense.
That just doesn't count.
Hibs 9, Montrose 0.
See, when we get relegated, I'm going to go back and be like, I still can't believe we had the most comfortable game of our lifetime. But anyway, let's move back because I'm talking shite now. I was trying to defend myself. And I
No, to
went
be
very
honest,
well.
Hibs did outplay Aberdeen. So Aberdeen equalised in the 55th minute. I think that was that when Morris came on. Was it the equaliser he absolutely rinsed us for, or was it the second goal, or was it both? Oh no, the second goal was the keeper. The second goal was the keeper.
It was the third.
I think we absolutely did outperform Aberdeen, and before the equalised, we should have been 2 or 3 goals up, and had we been, it wouldn't have been unfair. However, your comments can get misconstrued because people are viewing that, and I mean rightly so, as Hibs gaining a point because we equalised late on, but on the balance of play, I agree, we were the better side. Look, Aberdeen were decent in the second half, and the second half was a really good game of football. But Warden O'Hora put the ball over for 4 yards. Joe Neal hit the post. Nicky Cadden hit the post. Junior
Sorry
Hoyle.
to jump in for a second, by the way. See if Kuharovic or whatever, or Big Mick hadn't scored the first goal, Warren O'Hara wouldn't have left that stadium, by the way. Or the second goal, sorry. That is one of the worst misses I've ever seen in my entire. Sorry for interrupting you, but
No, it's fine. I was just
listing
listing off chances we've had against Aberdeen, and that game was a week ago, so nobody really cares anyway.
I care. No, I would agree with the both of you actually. Although I would say that Harry's language, or on the radio, I don't mean like you're swearing or anything, but the words that you use were maybe a bit strong. I would agree. I think we were the better team against Aberdeen, and I think the Motherwell game was entirely comfortable. But it's difficult because I'm sitting here probably as one of these people that Ewan described earlier, with that cautious optimism, like kind of almost afraid to get too ahead of myself,
It's right,
as we do every
that
time.
Is right.
Yeah, but at the same time, do you go, well, it's been so bad that we should get ahead of ourselves and we should enjoy these moments where it's good, the rare occasion where it's been good this season, and try and almost, like, as fans, as a fan base, it drives that good feeling as well as the players will be. Even if you listen, I think it was Jordan Smith, his interview after the game, like he's talking about how different the changing room is now compared to what it was a couple of weeks ago or the other week or whatever it was. And I just think, no, but we should be happy. We should be happy because ultimately, like you say, we played Aberdeen and we were, I would say, the better side, not by a distance, but I would say we were clearly the better side. Like, and then you outplay Motherwell, who, like you said earlier, are a decent side at this level, plucky and sticking games and are getting results. So no, we should be pleased with that. And I think a team like us in the position that we are, we need to hold on to as many positives as we can possibly get. So hold on to them for as long as we can and try and use that to kick them on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's been a difficult year, and so far, like I know I was going to say a difficult season. Actually, I'll stick with my original statement. It has been a fucking difficult year, but it's, I think, got lost a little bit because of the St Mirren game and the Dundee game. That we are still where we are because of individual errors and individual mistakes and moments in games. And what happened on Tuesday night was that a moment landed on our favour for the first time. And some people say it's luck, some people say it's, skill and whatever, but moments are so, excuse me, sorry, so important. There's the little things that, because even if, I know this sounds stupid, even see if that game had finished 2-2 against Aberdeen, but you'd played 3 or 4 minutes after the first equaliser, even then, I'm not quite sure it would have felt the exact same. See, because you then go down again and then you come back again, like it is a massive thing. So I'm looking at the table now, right? So we are 4 points off Dundee in seventh. You could pick
Can I just
how
make a
many?
note that you,
But no,
you not allowed to look up the table because last time we done that we didn't win for 10 games.
no, but I'm just saying. No, no. All I'm saying is how many?
Yeah.
That's 4 points. So Jordan will beat out Kelly. Like, do you know what I mean? Jordan Smith against Aberdeen, and we're seventh. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is like, and I'm sure every team could do that, but that's why we just need to build on the last 2 games and try and put a bit of momentum together going into sort of the transfer window and going into the second half of the season to try and get ourselves away from the trouble and build up the league. There is a bit of a gap now, sort of between the top 6 and us. I think St Mirren are 6 points ahead of us. It's not insurmountable, and the trouble is still behind us, absolutely. But just a little bit of positivity to start thinking that you can look up the table instead of just trying to scrape away from bottom is nice. And I'll go back to it. It's just disappointing that there might be a good chance that by the time we play Ross County, we might be bottom again.
But I don't care what anybody says. That Dundee United team is one of the worst teams in Scottish football history to occupy fourth. That
By
is
the
a
way,
shit
have you
team.
seen the refereeing decisions
I
in that
know.
game at the weekend?
Horrendous.
Oh my God.
Absolutely shocking. Like
Holy cow.
the main thing that gives me hope, and the reason that I've got this sheer delusion as soon as we won the game at the weekend, I was working out how fast we can get into the top 6, is because if Motherwell were they're still fifth and we absolutely bossed them. Aberdeen are second and they were pretty crap against us and they were pretty crap against Hearts. We're not gonna like Rangers are just gonna spend money in January, so we're not gonna catch them. Dundee United are absolutely humpty. Like I swear to God, there's better teams in the bottom 6 than there are in the top 6. Like,
No, I know,
is it,
but being playing devil's advocate on you there, like, what did you say? Dundee United, where are they, fourth?
I don't know how, because they got outplayed
I
by
know,
us twice. Like
but
they got 5
regardless,
points off of us being stupid.
but
Or
regardless of
4
fourth
points,
in the
sorry.
league, and regardless of our mistakes being due to individual errors or how well we've played,
Still happened.
yeah, it's happened, and we wouldn't, being a good side, you wouldn't make these individual errors. Dundee United haven't made individual errors to that level, so I think you still have to put a bit more credit on them, in the sense that they're doing enough
I'll
to get
agree
these
They
with
must
results.
you.
be,
We're
they
No,
not.
must,
I'll agree with you that Hibs are crap and we've made individual errors and that's why we are where we are. But I'm giving Dundee United no credit. Every time I've watched them play, they have been shite. I think they're
But
pish, and I'd be shocked if they finished in the top 6. And what I'm saying is,
hey,
I think
if they
them
keep, they
being
must be
fourth gives
leading
me hope that we can climb the table.
they,
That's how
they must
bad.
be leading the VAR benefiting from the table, surely to Christ.
Apparently, Hibs are 1-1. Apparently, we've had one
But
forward, one against
but you
us.
know what our
Nonsense.
positive one was? Joe
What?
Newell only getting sent off for a second yellow instead of a straight red.
Is that what? Because I was saying to Mikey, I was like, I could not work out for the life of me what that was,
Aye.
because I seen that stat and
I
I was
figured it
like,
must have been
fucking
that.
what?
Aye. I figured it had to be that. But so they've benefited off the top of my head from the penalty against us, their keeper no getting sent off in after about 20 minutes at the weekend, getting a dodgy penalty which they then missed but scored for the corner. Like that again, that's how we got on this subject.
And a VAR red card for that penalty as well,
Well,
which I
fuck, of
thought was
course, aye,
questionable.
aye. Like I would implore if you've no went and if you've no watched Sports Scene or even just go on Twitter or whatever and watch the Sky highlights of the Dundee United St Mirren game. That referee, oh my god! And then
He's
the
shite all the
VAR.
time though. That's not isolated incident for him, by the way. That's expected out of him.
Oh no, but Craig, he's there, so he must have had good moments that has got him to that
Very good point. Very good.
Right,
uh,
back to the comment section. Mikey, speaking of the devil, said, also, has the enforced move to three at the back turned out to be a blessing in disguise? I'm going to say David Gray was planning on going to three at the back for a while, and then he just randomly chose to. Nah, I think it was forced by Ekpiteta, unfortunately, who's going to be out for up to 10 weeks.
Is it
Um,
that long?
which is
10
which
weeks.
is a shame. I think we're down to 9 though, because it was last week. The only thing is, for me at the moment, I'd be putting probably Rocky right centre back and putting Ekpiteta through the middle. I
Oh,
think
well,
they're our
when
free.
he's fit, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's our free strongest. Like, I don't think O'Hara does anything wrong, but I just think Rocky has been absolutely colossal. I think that Rocky being brought into the team and Iredale being brought into the team's bigger than the shape. Like, I think the two of them have just played at their best. I'm not saying that that's the highest standard we can hope for, but I think when those two are playing at their best level, I think that it's more than good enough for Hibs at the moment.
Iredale's that left-sided centre half that you never expected that you were getting, but you've got, and he's actually turned out to be okay. Uh,
Indeed, can't complain so
the thing
far.
is with Rocky, like obviously he's been here long enough at Hibs now. Everybody kind of to know knows him. Like he's
Hmm.
absolutely full of heart and full of effort. And I actually would never question his commitment or anything like that. It's just at times I question his quality.
He's definitely a
Uh,
gets it guy. That's
I
I
what,
would say.
sorry?
A gets it guy. He
He
gets
Right.
it.
gets it. He gets it.
I thought you said get set. I was so lost there. Uh, no, no, he does get it. Like I say, I worry about his quality both on the ball, but also like defensively. It's probably similar to uh, Warren O'Hara as well. Like I worry about him when he gets spun, like when the ball goes in behind him, and I have this exact same worry for Rocky whenever the ball goes in behind him. I think he looks susceptible to get caught out. Uh, but I would agree with Mike that since we went to the back three, we've also looked a bit more solid. I think it gives us that probably as we see it, as I was pointing out earlier, in the drill that they were doing in the warm up when they were kind of switching it to back four, it gives us the ability maybe to throw a bit more at teams when we're going forward. But then when we're out of possession, we can be a bit more solid. However, for me, take formations out of it, a bit of confidence is it goes further than a shape in a team, in my opinion. But I know some people obviously really value formations and setups and stuff, and I do think it has played a role, to be fair. But
I think
confidence
the
more.
one thing it certainly does is it gives you bodies through that sort of centre third of the pitch. If you were to look at up and down the way, three centre halves, three centre midfielders, two strikers, like, and the majority of the teams in this league play some element of three at the back, or with sort of one up top or sort of two off them. Most teams will have three centre midfielders in there, and so you kind of obviously with the wing backs, if you've not got the right players, you do give up that wide area a little bit, and you can definitely be exposed in that system. Aberdeen done it, that goal with Morris is a sort of perfect example of how you can sort of expose the system if the wing back's not gets caught too high up in the centre back, um, isn't out quick enough. There is big gaps to be exploited in a 3-5-2 between that sort of wing back and the wide centre half. But for me, it's a setup that I like. It, it makes sense for me, for us. I think when you've got the three centre backs, you're not as reliant on a midfielder being one specific sort of holder, in the sense that they drop in and they make it a free, or on the when it's attacking, you've got that base behind you and you can sort of let everyone else go if you need to. I like it. I know people will be rolling their eyes talking about shape and stuff. Whether it was enforced or not, I don't really care. It makes sense for the players that we have available, and I've kind of felt like that all season, to be honest. And I'm glad we're seeing it. And I think it's flexible as well. Do you know, like if you are trying to be a bit deeper, you just bring your wing backs back and you make it more a solid five. And like it, I like it. I think it's this. And do you know what? David Gray should like it. He played his best football in that formation as well. So
It's a
Hey,
fact.
And then speaking of defence and robustness, Remy Cool said, think Sir David Gray was bang on stick by Smith. He did make 1.5 mistakes versus Aberdeen, but he seemed to play with confidence. Bursick has looked like a rabbit caught in the headlights from the start. Um, Obviously, I don't know if I've said it on the pod, but I've said it very plainly in the group chat that Smith worries me. I think that the fact he's loud and vocal. I was actually quite impressed by his distribution. I thought that he got the ball out quite quick regularly. He had one really nice kick to Yuan in the first half where he just launched it and it was a nice ball. But every single time the ball goes towards goal, it does worry me. And obviously, a goalkeeper's job first and foremost is to save shots. And I'm just concerned that we're going to play at Celtic and is going to concede a lot of shots.
Can I just jump in on that, Harry?
Of course you
See
can,
that
mate.
ball that you're talking about, where he's sort of like sideswiped it out to Yuan
Aye.
to create the counter attack. That was directly after he fucking flapped at a corner and dropped it.
Yeah, aye, yeah.
That was how he got that ball. It
Yeah.
came out, flapped at the corner, got lucky that it didn't end up the same way as Aberdeen.
Yeah.
But I would agree his distribution was actually quite decent. And I think on the whole,
He was okay.
yeah, he was okay. David Gray said
Do you know
after the
what?
game,
I want to
anything he
give
had to
him.
do, he done.
I want to give him some credit, and I wasn't in the mood today. This on Tuesday, and had we recorded on
Well, he was
Wednesday or
getting both. If
Thursday,
we recorded on Tuesday after the game, he was getting both barrels. Like,
but seeing the first half against Aberdeen, I thought he actually was okay. I thought he'd done all right in the first half against Aberdeen. Not that he had much to do. However, the second half was so poor. And my biggest concern was, and this is purely visually, he had a light blue goalkeeper kit on with black goalie gloves and black football boots, and it looked fucking horrendous. So he's got to do something about that, because that just wasn't on. Like, and so it looked better at the
Fashion
weekend
police.
because I don't care. It looked like he started a game of FIFA but hadn't he like unlocked any like and like like anything else to put on, and it was just I just wasn't having it. It was actually
Is it pro clubs?
see it was
basic
like, do you know when
FIFA?
they do like the handshake in the middle of the game and then they run down and they clap the fans? I highlighted it at that point. I was like, I'm not having this. Like this kid, I'm not having that. No, in all seriousness though, I think he's going to be the number one until January, and then there'll be a new goalkeeper coming. That's my stance on it now. And
Where does that leave Busick though?
gone. Contract cancelled.
if you want to believe the rumours, it leaves him being a fucking expensive sub. If the rumours,
the rumours saying that we can't cancel his deal.
no, the rumours are if he plays, we didn't pay as much, and if he doesn't play, then we pay more. That's what I heard from a couple of different people. It's probably bullshit. But I just like to claim that. I can't. I said it was a rumor. I'm sticking by it being a rumor, but 3 or 4 different people have said it, and I've heard it. So I'm not sure if it's got any legs, but it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It makes me think there could be legs in that.
Bearing in mind we did sign Rocky by accident, so
That's what I'm saying. Like, it sounds so stupid
they
that
have got
we might.
previous.
Can you imagine, right? Malky just, lads, Ken, I've just got the job, right? I have found our number one goalie, and the best part of it is, as long as we play him, he's free. How good's that?
It's maybe a reason.
Honestly, I wouldn't encourage anyone to pass that on as anything but a rumor. But
And that's why you spoke about it for a minute
on
and
a
a half on the
podcast.
podcast.
No, but
Yeah,
I'm being serious. I think
masterclass.
Smith will. I think if I'm being serious, I think Smith will be the goalkeeper, and I actually think we'll have a new goalkeeper between the sticks against St Johnstone in the second.
Are we thinking Will Dennis? I mean, that seems like the absolutely
hang your
screamingly
fruit,
obvious one.
Competent.
But if the people went down and actually studied the Bournemouth players to see if they're good enough to play for Hibs. I mean, I don't know if last year our
Or like
Condes
good
would have been
people,
turned
or
down. No. Like the reason that we didn't sign Bournemouth players in the summers because they weren't. We didn't go down and assess them. So hopefully the recruitment teams done their job and went down and assessed players that we can get for very very little money at the club, because that sounds like an okay idea to me. Obviously, I'm not a football person making football decisions, but that's neither here nor there.
the number one thing is we can't be having any arseholes. They've all just got to be sound. All got to be sound. Every single one of them. Just
That's
go
it,
to
just
sound guys.
good guys, good vibes, relegation. Whoa! Mark Telfer said, "Evening, folks. Evening to you, Mark." RW said, "Rocky's been great past 2 games, but needs to learn to head the ball clear, big yogi style." I think the thing I love about Rocky is I just think he's so physical. Like I think every single time he just roughs up a striker. He just gets himself all involved in their business, and I'm like, I like that a lot.
Definitely
It's
to his
fun to
detriment
watch.
sometimes as well.
Yeah.
If he goes too tight and they manage to spin him. But I've seen so many people talk about Rocky heading the ball, so it must be right. But I've never
No,
really
so there was one time at
felt that he.
Tynecastle, he jumped underneath the
Oh
ball.
yeah.
And there's the
It was a
one,
Shanklin
obviously,
goal at
yeah,
Easter Road last year.
that's one that gets kind of pinned on him as well. But one time he booted the ball out the stadium against Arbroath, and it was really funny, and
And
people
Harry,
seem
that
to
was in
forget
the
It's
about
quite
it.
Scottish
funny, to be
Cup.
fair.
In the Scottish Cup
Oh,
draws tonight.
hmm
Who do you want in the
Segue.
draw?
Oh, random segue, but I love it. I want the easiest possible draw, so I want Musselburgh Athletic at home, and I hope that the game before they play us, they get 4 red cards
I'd
for
love
the best
Musselburgh.
players to be out, just in case.
That'd be class. A derby. Brilliant. Also, no, genuinely, also to give at Easter Road, if we can get Easter Road, that'd be better. You get 5,000 there or whatever. Give them a wee bit of money as well. Split the cash with them. I'm happy with that.
I was going to say I want the easiest draw possible, but I didn't want a non-league side because that would just give me the fear. So, like some wee middling League One or League Two team at home would do me nicely. Can someone that's like they're not going to pull up any trees, and I didn't want it to be like their whole fucking world is. What I didn't want is to be watching sports scene on the Saturday night and Ken like when they've got the camera on the bus and that, and they're bigging it up, and they bring like that away. Like, mind who did we play? Did we play Irvine Meadow under Hughes maybe? And like they had this massive away fall, but I think we ended up beating them 3-0 or something. But wasn't the sort of it didn't go the way it went. So I didn't want that potential banana skin. I didn't want it on the telly. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be. I don't know what League One teams are left in.
I
I
think
really.
Peterhead might be in there.
As long as we avoid being first up on sports scene, then we've done well. Because if we're first, that means we've been.
See if we get just the wee like 30-second summary of 4 Hibs goals and that's it done.
Yeah.
That'll be perfect.
That's
Aye.
fine.
Okay, who was it? Was it Bonnie Rose who played at Tynecastle before they were
I beat them
League
8-1 when it was like
Aye.
-10, and you decided to wear shorts to the game.
Aye, obviously, I'd do it again.
Was that not the was that the start of your short?
No,
I think it
start of
was.
the short thing. It was what you got? Bromby was the start of the short thing.
Right.
I'll tell that story another time.
By the way, I'd just like to make that clear to the point that I've known Harry sort of probably since about like not as well, but maybe back then. To last season, I seen him at Easter Road and he had trousers on, and it was the first thing that I said. I hadn't met your girlfriend before, and she was there, and I was more interested in acknowledging the fact you had trousers on instead of speaking to you, introducing myself to your partner.
Because that's it. I didn't mind being a weirdo in front of you guys, but I didn't want to be a weirdo in front of Harry. All right, I'll tell the story now. We went on about it long enough. So essentially, me and Craig were in Bromby, and gorgeous summer's day. We got about 900 Hibs fans all steaming in the middle of the square. And I said to Craig, here, it's class like going to a football game, like getting pints in, and like wearing shorts. And then Craig goes, obviously, you would do wear shorts to a football game in Scotland. And then every single Hibs game, bar the one that you mentioned, I have wore shorts to since, just simply to spite Craig. We're now pushing like 8 years full of spite, and it's
Do you know what my issue is, mate? You've had some
Aye.
questionable sock choices with
Oh,
it.
mate, I can tell you the worst one. Hamilton away. We
Oh
drew
my
one.
God, the shoes, eh?
All Harry had was pointy shoes. He had shorts, like black socks on, pulled up to his calves, and pointy shoes. It was horrific.
That was a bad one. Some guy took pictures of me of my feet.
Wait, sorry. When you say pointy shoes, are you meaning like?
No, we're wearing like dress shoes. We had a wedding.
dress,
I only brought
pointers.
up one pair of shoes because I forgot my trainers. So I was wearing like dress shoes at a Hibs game, Hibs Hamilton away.
And a pair
Super
of
shoes.
shorts.
It was bad. Guys were taking photos of it.
Harry, that's worse than Jordan Smith wearing black bits with a light blue kit. Fucking hell.
It wasn't my best fashion moment.
I'm just looking at the teams available. I'll take Stenhousemuir at home. That'll do me.
Boring.
Right, Craig, who are you hanging?
To be honest, I just can't be asked for a big trip up north. That's my one stipulation. Like I can't be bothered with that. I don't know who's in it that's up north, but just get that away from me. I like to visit grounds that I've never been to. But
No in
I
January.
can't be bothered with that. Sorry.
No in January when we're still kind of really shite. I didn't want to
Yep.
be gone. I didn't want another forfeit. That's for
It
sure.
was Inverness last year, wasn't it? So
Aye, forfeit and Inverness last year, wasn't it?
I never went for,
Aye.
but
Joe,
No,
do you want to know who's in the draw? I've got it here.
I don't care if we want to read it. Is it not like 32 teams left?
Other right, all the top flight teams, Queen of the South, Ayr, there's some serious shite in this, like Clydebank.
just give me some of the outliers.
Clydebank, Fraserburgh, Musselburgh Athletic, Broxburn Athletic, pretty much all the championship sides, all the premiership sides.
I want Musselburgh.
Nice. It's pretty much championship, premiership, and a couple of wee rogue ones in there.
Yeah, what I want Dundee United at home. And then when we pap them out, I can be like, get it up, because I told you they were shite.
Do you know that's the worst thing though? And I hate. I don't encourage seedings in these things, but
Oh, is it seeded in this round?
no, it's not. That's what I'm saying. I don't
right.
encourage it. But see when you get like fucking, let's not even say Hibs, like it's the Scottish Cup fourth round and it's fucking Livy, they're non-league anymore. Motherwell Kelly. It's like, really, is that what we're doing here? Like, it's just shite. Like, what's going to happen? We're going to get fucking Hearts or Celtic or Rangers.
That's what Remy said in the chat. Stop dreaming of it because you just know we're going to get Hearts.
It meant there was a spell there, where we seemed to get Hearts every year in the cup, early rounds as well.
Aye, but we kept beating them for a while, and then it flipped, and I didn't. I was liking it for a couple of years, and then when it flipped,
we
I
played
didn't like it so
them
much.
the year we won the cup, the year after we won the cup, the year we got promoted back up, we played them. Now I don't have them for a couple of years, then we played them under Johnson.
Was the Weatherspoon shot Zaliukas deflection?
That was after
that was after they beat us in the cup.
Yeah.
I was meaning much more recent.
Yeah, no. I was just throwing it random.
Why did you have to bring that up, Harry?
And then Rob Jones 1-0.
That was in 2007, mate.
Good days.
Wasn't even in the Scottish Cup.
I know, but I'm just talking about cup games in general. Because that was the Spinny one, was that not?
No, Scottish Cup. It was the next Scottish Cup game.
There you go, guys. All right, well, let's get on to Celtic. I already said I want Dundee United at home so we can pat them out and I can tell everybody how shite they are. Right, back to real talk. Celtic. We've touched on it. Do you know Cal McGregor's I think he's the lone top scorer in the league. That's
Everyone
mental.
else got 5.
Everyone's been a screamer as well.
Okay. He's not scored inside the box yet. But that's part of the problem. If he shoots from outside the box, it's gone in. If he shoots from inside the box, it's probably also gone in.
No shots.
Do we keep the same team?
No,
Only team
was suspended, I think.
Was he?
I'm sure someone said that he had there was chat that he was going to be suspended for the weekend, but it wasn't going to kick off for 10 days. So it might, I don't know if it was for an accumulation. That could be total shite. And if he isn't suspended, then yes.
All right. Craig, if Joe Neal's out, then who steps in for
him? Jake Doyle Hayes. Get minutes into his legs. That's what I'm saying.
Don't mind it. Ian, who's your replacement?
For Joe Newell, I would probably look at bringing, well, it won't be Quan because he'll be cup tied. Not cup tied.
He'll be cup tied in the league, Ian. That's
you know what I mean? Parent club.
Yeah.
Well, the other midfield that was on the bench was
Campbell.
Levitt.
Oh, he'd probably play. Nah, you're not. Nah. I would actually. I'll take it back. I would potentially look at bringing in Campbell for Hoylett for legs in the middle of the park, and then if Newell's suspended, bring in maybe Jake Doyle Hayes, but maybe Levitt.
Don't know if you remember the last time or one of the last times at Celtic Park. Well, I don't know if it was, but it was recently anyway. Jake Doyle Hayes played and he was actually fucking superb.
Mm-hmm. Was that the same day that Campbell maybe scored the penalty?
Can't remember, I'm being honest. But I think the Campbell not start at Celtic Park last time out as well, and I don't think it's a bad option because he's got plenty of legs in there, and he can just sort of buzz about and be a little dick.
You might potentially see Hoylett still play, but maybe
is more of one of the front two.
He has to be. He has to be, mate, because he's not gonna do. I mean, he will do it when he has opportunity because he's shown that he's willing to get stuck in. But I think even over a 60-minute period, if you ask him to do too much running back and forward, that's just not going to help him. So I think if he was going to be playing, it would have to be more as that sort of luxury player up the top to give us that bit of quality when we're on the ball, rather than like a player who's going to be running back and forward and making challenges. So I think if he's playing, he's definitely probably seen more as a luxury player in that game to provide
And
a bit
is
of
there,
quality and maybe set up striker.
after 2 assists in 2 games, is there a conversation about Gale potentially starting?
So this is the thing, right? I wouldn't want to drop Ellie Yuan because I think he carries the threat. So I would keep him in. Nah, I would stick with uh, Kukarevic and Yuan as a two and just try and firm up the midfield a bit. I I didn't think Hoyle was all right at the weekend. I didn't think he'd played too well against Aberdeen though. Just his legs would be a worry for me against that Celtic midfield. But I still think in these games you've got to carry a threat. You've got to have an out ball. I don't think Gale gives you much more of an out ball and than what Johan would or Kukarevic even. I would think they two would be better. Like we said earlier, just turning the defence. Just literally just turning the defence and trying to just trying to move the sort of game into their half by winning throw-ins or whatever. Like I don't think Gale's going to hold the ball up or run the channels against Carter Vickers, Scales, what's the other boy, Trusty. They're all they're all sort of big athletic players. So no, I would probably keep him on the bench, and if you need to nick a goal, the game's still there, then he is a player that I would feel confident that could come on and take a chance potentially.
I'd also, just to jump in, I'd also play Lewis Miller ahead of Cadden, because I think if Cadden plays from a legs point of view, I think he's going to get absolutely destroyed by Maeda, like on a pretty consistent and early basis. I think
Miller's done okay
maybe
against Celtic.
he's maybe got a bit more athleticism to deal with that. And apart, just little parts in his game that I think maybe suit it a wee bit more. Long throws. He's there for the crossfield sort of
Out ball.
target man, if you like. He can also win a few more fouls, and I think Chris Cadden's likely to, which I think at Celtic Park would be quite important. But mainly, I just think he's going to have a bit more to deal with Maeda than Cadden would.
Yeah, I think the back three stays the same, Harry, and I think that is the sort of shape, if you like, that you would have to run with. I don't know what Celtic will do. They've got Aberdeen at Pittodrie during the week, and obviously they'd played in Europe during the week there, and then made 5 or 6 changes. And I heard a bit of Rodgers' interview on the radio on Saturday night saying that that's probably what he'll be doing through to the end of the year because they've got a game every midweek. I mean, they've got an incredible squad, but obviously you don't. I mean, hopefully maybe Maeda's dropped. You know what I mean? Then
He's a prick, though, isn't he? Brendan Rodgers, like he's going on about
how they've grown.
how shite they were, and because they got booed off after beating Ross County at Celtic Park. Like I think they did not beat them 1-0 and
Aye.
got booed off or whatever. And he's going, oh, how much our team's grown in a 12-month period from then to now. And we're beating Ross County 5-0. It's like, mate,
When
your
£11
budget
million
is
player on the bench.
astronomically higher than than Ross County. It's that I'm sorry, but that isn't, from a Celtic point of view, much of an achievement at all. It just isn't.
£11 million player on the
That's
bench.
irritating me.
Signed Luke McCowan for a laugh.
I also seen a stat. Again, it's a Twitter stat, so it could be fucking like just bullshit logic or whatever stats that have been pulled out of somebody's ass. But apparently, Brendan Rodgers is on 2.3 mil a year, and that's more than the entire Ross County budget put together. So, bit of context, isn't it?
Fuck Brendan Rodgers. Aye, that's a good stance to take.
Hey, well, guys, Hibs won a game. We're probably not going to say the same thing next Monday. But give me score predictions anyway. I hope they're as delusional as they can be.
1-1.
Pass shout. Can you give me some sauce here, mate?
3-1 Hibs.
Oh, You can. I like the vibe because you know what? We scored 3 goals against Aberdeen. Scored 3 goals against Motherwell. You're an absolute idiot, Craig, because we're scoring 4 against Celtic. 4-3, baby. Game of the century. Woo!
Counter-attacking football.
Hey. Yeah, no. I think it'll be as we say. I don't mean to be negative. We're currently sitting realistically second bottom of the league. We're going against the Celtic side that are probably as good a Celtic side as we've seen. Yeah, let's just get to Monday and not like see the thing is if we get pumped, but it's not just stupid mistakes. If it's just Celtic playing through us and cutting us up, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be annoying, but it happens to nearly every team in the league.
Greg's not
If it's
listening, mate.
I know. If it's going to be keepers flapping at balls, if it's going to be stupid red cards, that's what's going to get us annoyed. So as long as the players keep the heads and don't look stupid, it's fine. As we've
I
seen,
agree, Harry.
Celtic are happy to take the foot off the gas. If we're 2-0 down at half-time, we can take our
Positive, eh?
3 goal difference and get out of there because they're happy with that.
So let me get that right. So if we're 2-0 down at half time, that means we're scoring 4 and conceding 1 in the second half, right? Got you.
Nice. Aye. But if you've listened to our incoherent rambling, as always, we appreciate you. You and Craig, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you all next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.